In 1990, this field would be full of people. Men walking in long lines under the sun. Boots covered in dust, shirts soaked with sweat, engines roaring in the background. Someone shouting instructions, someone laughing, someone tired, someone always slower than the rest. Farming was never quiet. It was noisy, messy, human. Now look at the same field today. It is almost silent. No lines of workers, no shouting, no chaos, only a single machine moving slowly across the land. No driver, no cabin light, no human hands on the wheel. Just steel, sensors, GPS, and software. This machine replaced more than 50 workers. Not in theory, not in a lab, not in some distant future. Already, and most people have no idea this is happening. Modern farms are becoming strange places. They are bigger than ever, more productive than ever, more profitable than ever, and emptier than ever. What used to require entire villages of workers can now be handled by a few technicians and a group of machines that never get tired. No lunch breaks, no mistakes from exhaustion, no sick days, no salaries, no complaints, just constant movement, day and night, rain or heat, weekends included. Agriculture did not collapse, it evolved, quietly. For thousands of years, farming followed the same basic rule. More land meant more people. If you wanted to grow more food, you hired more workers. If you wanted to harvest faster, you gathered more hands. Civilizations were built on this logic. Entire economies depended on it. Then something changed. It did not happen in 1 year. It did not happen in one country. It was slow, almost invisible at first. A GPS antenna here, a sensor there, a smarter tractor, a new software update, small upgrades that looked harmless. But together, they rewrote how food is produced. Today, a single autonomous tractor can plow, seed, fertilize, and harvest land that once required dozens of people working in shifts. It does not follow intuition. It follows coordinates accurate to 2 centimeters. It does not guess soil conditions. It reads them in real time. It does not stop when visibility is low. It uses radar, lidar, cameras, and satellite positioning. The machine does not see a field. It sees data, moisture levels, nutrient density, slope angles, crop health, seed spacing. Every square meter becomes a calculation. Every movement is optimized. Every second is measured. And this is where the story becomes uncomfortable. Because this machine is not just faster. It is better. It plants seeds with perfect distance between them. Humans cannot do that for 12 hours straight. It applies fertilizer only where needed, not everywhere. Humans estimate. The machine knows. It drives in perfectly straight lines, wasting almost no fuel. Humans drift. It predicts failures before they happen. Humans react after damage is done. Farm owners noticed something. Production went up, costs went down, errors disappeared, and workers became optional. One large farm in the American Midwest used to hire 53 seasonal workers just for planting season. Today, 2 technicians monitor machines from a small control room. The tractors work through the night with headlights cutting through the dust like quiet insects made of metal. Those 53 jobs are gone. No dramatic announcement, no headlines, just gone. This is not an isolated case. It is happening in Brazil, Australia, Germany, Canada, Argentina, and anywhere large-scale farming exists. The machines are different brands, different sizes, different prices, but the effect is the same. One machine replaces dozens of people. And this is only the beginning. Because the first generation of autonomous farm machines still needs supervision. A human must be nearby in case something breaks. A human must program the field map. A human must check the results. For now, the next generation will not. They will coordinate with each other. One machine planting, another fertilizing, another scanning crop health from above using drones. All connected to the same system, all optimizing themselves in real time. A farm that runs like a factory. Except the factory is hundreds of hectares of land, and the workers are algorithms. When people imagine the future of automation, they think about offices. Cashiers replaced by self-checkout. Drivers replaced by autonomous cars. Robots in warehouses. They rarely think about farms. But agriculture is one of the fastest industries to automate on Earth. Because food is expensive to produce. Because mistakes are costly. Because margins are tight. And because machines are becoming cheaper every year. A modern autonomous tractor can cost more than $500,000. That sounds insane, until you compare it to paying 50 workers every year. Suddenly, the machine looks cheap. And farm owners are not emotional about this decision. They are practical. Food demand is rising, land is limited, climate is unstable, efficiency is survival, so they choose the machines. And the fields grow quieter. What makes this story more disturbing is how invisible it is. These machines do not operate in cities. They work far from cameras, far from protests, far from headlines. They replace people silently, one field at a time. Most consumers never see them. They only see cheaper food in supermarkets. They do not see the empty villages. The workers who moved to cities looking for jobs that no longer exist. The families that depended on seasonal harvest work. Automation did not arrive with explosions. It arrived with software updates, and satellites, and quiet engines moving slowly through empty fields. This is not a story about evil machines. It is a story about efficiency winning. And efficiency does not care who it replaces. In the next part, we will go inside the machine itself. Not just what it does, but how it thinks, how it sees the world, and why it is so difficult for any human worker to compete with it. Because once you understand how these machines actually operate, you realize something unsettling. This was never a fair competition. The machine does not wake up. It does not stretch its arms. It does not drink coffee. It does not complain about the weather. It simply turns on. Inside its metal body there is no instinct, no experience, no memory of past harvests the way humans remember them. There are only models, predictions, probabilities, and millions of calculations happening every second. To understand why this machine replaces so many people, you have to understand how it sees a farm. A human sees soil. The machine sees numbers. When its wheels touch the field, dozens of sensors begin to work immediately. Optical cameras analyze the color of the ground. Infrared sensors detect moisture below the surface. Electrical conductivity probes measure nutrient concentration. GPS satellites locate the tractor's position with centimeter precision. All this data is processed instantly. The field becomes a living map. Every square meter has a profile. This area is dry. That area has too much nitrogen. That section is compacted and needs deeper plowing. Another section should not receive fertilizer at all. A human worker learns these things slowly, over years. By observing, by making mistakes, by losing crops. The machine learns them in seconds. It does not guess. It does not rely on intuition. It does not get distracted. It calculates, and it adjusts. As it moves forward, it changes its behavior constantly. It plants seeds deeper where the soil is dry. It reduces fertilizer where nutrients are already high. It increases spacing where plants compete too much for sunlight. 2 meters later, everything changes again. New calculations, new decisions, new movements. A team of 50 workers cannot do this. Not with this precision, not with this speed, not for 12 hours without stopping. The machine does it every day. This is called precision agriculture. But that name hides how radical it really is. It is not farming with tools. It is farming with mathematics. Modern autonomous tractors use machine learning models trained on years of satellite images, weather patterns, soil databases, and harvest results. They recognize early signs of plant disease that humans often miss. Slight color changes in leaves, tiny variations in growth speed, patterns invisible to the naked eye. When the system detects a problem, it does not panic. It isolates the area. It treats only that section, not the whole field. Less waste, less cost, less damage to the environment, more profit. From the farm owner's perspective, this is perfection. From the worker's perspective, it is extinction. Because once a machine can plant, fertilize, spray, and harvest by itself, what exactly is left for humans to do? Supervision, maintenance, occasional repairs, jobs for a few specialists, not for 50 laborers. And this is just the ground level. Above the field, drones fly silently. They scan crops with multispectral cameras. They send maps to the central system. The tractors adjust their routes. The irrigation systems change water flow. Fertilizer schedules are recalculated. No meetings, no phone calls, no delays. The farm becomes a closed system. Self-observing, self-correcting, self-optimizing. A human workforce is slow in comparison. Humans argue. Humans misunderstand instructions. Humans get tired. Machines do not. This is why companies invest billions in this technology. Not because they hate workers, but because numbers are cruel. One autonomous tractor can work 20 hours per day. It consumes fuel more efficiently than a human driver. It makes fewer mistakes. It reduces fertilizer costs by up to 30%. It increases yield by 10 to 20%. On large farms, this difference means millions of dollars every year, and the machine does not ask for a raise. Farm owners know this. They run the math. The decision becomes easy. In some regions, farms are already operated by teams of 5 people controlling hundreds of machines remotely. They sit in air-conditioned rooms looking at screens. The fields are hundreds of kilometers away. If something goes wrong, the system alerts them. If nothing goes wrong, they do nothing. This is the new agriculture. Silent, remote, automated. The strange part is that this technology does not look dramatic. There are no explosions, no humanoid robots walking between crops, no science fiction cities, just tractors, quiet, slow, almost boring, and that is why most people underestimate it. But behind this calm surface is one of the biggest labor shifts in human history. Agriculture employed more people than any other industry for thousands of years. Entire societies were structured around planting and harvesting seasons. Families passed down farming skills for generations. Now a machine learns those skills in weeks and performs them better. This does not mean farming disappears. It means farmers change. The new farmer is closer to an engineer than to a laborer. He studies data dashboards. He adjusts algorithms. He monitors satellite images. He updates software. He does not walk behind a plow. And the people who used to do that work? They are not needed anymore. Not because they failed, but because the machine does not. In the next part, we will look at the economic side of this transformation. How much these machines really cost, why farms are willing to pay such extreme prices, and why this shift is accelerating faster than almost anyone expected. Because once the numbers are clear, the future of farming becomes impossible to ignore. The price of the machine is the first thing that shocks people. $500,000, sometimes more, for a tractor. No luxury leather seats, no shiny sports design, no prestige logo, just metal, computers, sensors, and software. At first, it sounds insane. Until you look at the other side of the equation. 50 workers, salaries, housing, transportation, insurance, food, training, accidents, turnover, mistakes. Every year, on large farms, labor is one of the biggest costs. Not a small expense, a massive one. In some regions, it represents more than 40% of the total operational budget. Now compare that to a machine. It has a high upfront cost, yes. But after that, fuel, maintenance, software updates, no monthly salary, no holidays, no overtime, no lawsuits, no unions, no sudden resignation during harvest season. The machine works when you tell it to work, and it stops when you tell it to stop. Farm owners did not adopt autonomous machines because they love technology. They adopted them because the spreadsheet told them to. On a medium-sized industrial farm, replacing 50 workers can save between $800,000 and $1.2 million per year. Per year, that means the tractor pays for itself in less than 12 months. After that, it becomes pure financial advantage. This is why adoption exploded. Not slowly, explosively. First, only the biggest farms bought them. The ones with international investors. The ones producing for global markets. Then prices dropped, competition increased, technology improved. Now medium farms can afford them. Soon, small farms will too. And every time a new machine arrives, the math is repeated. Machine versus humans. The machine always wins. There is another factor few people talk about. Uncertainty. Humans are unpredictable. They get sick. They move to cities. They change jobs. They migrate. They age. Machines are predictable. A farm owner can calculate production for the next 5 years based on machine performance data. With humans, this is impossible. Banks like predictability. Investors like predictability. Insurance companies like predictability. So farms that use automation get better loans, better contracts, better deals. Automation becomes not just cheaper, but strategically superior. In some countries, governments even subsidize autonomous equipment. They call it innovation. They call it sustainability. They call it modernization. They do not call it what it really is. Workforce elimination. But the process is polite. No one is fired in a dramatic meeting. They are simply not hired again. Season after season, the number of workers slowly decreases. 10 become 5, 5 become 2, 2 become 0, and the machine keeps moving. What makes this transformation even faster is data. Every harvest produces information, yield maps, error rates, fuel consumption, soil changes, weather response. This data feeds new algorithms. Those algorithms improve the next generation of machines. So each year, the machines are not just cheaper. They are smarter, more independent, more accurate. A human worker does not evolve at this speed. Training a person takes years. Training an algorithm takes days. This creates a gap that widens constantly, not gradually, exponentially. Some farm owners admit, in private, that they no longer see workers as part of the long-term plan. Not because they dislike them, but because the business no longer depends on them. The farm depends on systems, on networks, on software, on machines that talk to satellites. A single failure in the GPS network is more dangerous to production than losing 10 workers. That tells you everything. The farm has changed its center of gravity. From people to technology. In rural regions, the effect is already visible. Schools close because families leave. Small stores shut down. Villages shrink. Young people move to cities. The land remains. The crops remain. The machines remain. But the community disappears. Food production becomes more efficient. Human presence becomes optional. And this is the true cost of that $500,000 machine. Not just money, but silence, empty roads, dark houses, fields that produce more than ever, surrounded by fewer and fewer people. In the next part, we will look at the human side of this transformation. What happens to the workers who are replaced? Where they go? What kind of jobs are waiting for them? And why, for many of them, there is no simple replacement. Because when a machine takes your place in the field, it does not offer you a new role. It just keeps working. When the machine arrives, it does not announce itself. There is no warning, no countdown, no official message posted on a wall. One season, the workers return to the farm. The next season, they are not called. At first, they think it is temporary. Bad harvest, low prices, weather problems. They wait, then they hear about the machine. A new tractor, no driver, no team, just one operator in an office. And suddenly the math becomes personal. For many workers, farming was not just a job. It was the only skill they had. They learned it as children, walking behind their parents in the fields, carrying tools too heavy for their hands, understanding soil by touch, not by numbers. Their knowledge lived in their bodies, not in a computer. When the machines take over, that knowledge becomes invisible, useless. A man who knows how to read the sky for rain is replaced by a sensor. A woman who knows when soil is ready by its smell is replaced by a moisture probe. Decades of experience replaced by silicon and code. Some workers find new jobs. They become drivers for delivery companies, security guards, construction helpers. Others do not. In many rural regions, there are no alternative jobs. Only more farms. And those farms no longer need people. Young workers move to cities. Older workers stay, unemployed, watching machines do the work they once did. There is no training program for this kind of loss. Governments talk about reskilling. But how do you retrain someone who spent 40 years harvesting crops by hand? How do you turn that into software skills? You cannot. So entire generations are erased from the economy. Quietly, they do not protest much. They do not block roads. They do not become headlines. They disappear. In interviews, some farm owners say automation freed workers from hard labor. They say machines do dangerous tasks now. They say this is progress. And they are not entirely wrong. Farming is brutal work, long hours, heat, cold, injuries, low pay. Machines remove that suffering, but they also remove the income. And income is survival. A machine does not send money home. It does not buy food in the village. It does not pay rent. It does not keep schools open. One machine replaces 50 workers. But it also removes 50 salaries from the local economy. That loss spreads. The grocery store sells less. The mechanic has fewer clients. The bus line shuts down. The village becomes smaller. The farm becomes more productive. From the outside, everything looks better. More food, lower costs, higher efficiency. From the inside, something is breaking. Not loudly, slowly. The strange thing is that the workers are not angry at the machines. They are angry at time. They know they cannot compete. They know no human can. You cannot work 20 hours per day. You cannot see infrared light. You cannot measure nitrogen levels while driving. You cannot be perfect. The machine can. So resentment turns into resignation. Many say the same sentence. It was inevitable. And they are right. Once one farm adopts automation, the others must follow. If they do not, they lose money. If they lose money, they close. So the machines spread, not because they are loved, but because they are necessary to survive in the market. The workers become casualties of optimization. Not of war, not of crisis, but of efficiency. In the next part, we will step back and look at the bigger picture. What happens when millions of workers around the world are replaced not by factories, but by farms? What happens when food is produced almost entirely by machines? And what kind of society is built on fields that no longer need human hands? Because the machine did not just replace 50 workers. It changed what farming means. Forever. When historians look back at this period, they may not call it a revolution. There were no flags, no speeches, no single day when everything changed. They will probably describe it as a transition. Slow, quiet, inevitable. Fields became factories, tractors became computers, farmers became system operators, and millions of workers became unnecessary. Not because they failed, but because the definition of productivity changed. For most of human history, food production was limited by human strength. How fast you could plant, how much you could carry, how long you could work before collapsing. Now it is limited by processing power, by battery capacity, by satellite coverage, by software efficiency. A machine does not care about seasons in the emotional sense. It cares about data. If the model predicts rain, it delays planting by 6 hours. If the soil temperature drops, it adjusts depth. If fuel prices rise, it optimizes routes. It treats the planet like a spreadsheet. And spreadsheets are unforgiving. This system is spreading because it works. Global food demand is rising. Climate patterns are unstable. Water is scarce. Fertilizer is expensive. Governments want more food with less land. Investors want stable returns. Automation delivers all of that, at a price that is rarely discussed. Human relevance. In agriculture, relevance is already fading. In some regions, entire harvest seasons pass with almost no human presence in the fields. Lights move slowly in the night. Engines hum. Satellites track progress. People watch from screens. Food grows. Cities eat. And the connection between the two weakens. For consumers, this future feels clean, reliable, cheap, supermarket shelves full, no shortages, no chaos. But behind that stability is a silent trade. We traded human hands for algorithms, human communities for optimized systems, unpredictable lives for predictable outputs. And once this trade is made, there is no reverse button. You cannot ask a farm owner to hire 50 workers again when one machine does the job better. You cannot ask investors to accept lower profits for nostalgia. You cannot ask governments to slow down efficiency in a competitive global market. The machine is not coming. It has already arrived. It is already working. It is already replacing people, one field at a time. This does not mean the future is dark. It means it is different. New jobs will exist: engineers, data analysts, robotics technicians, AI specialists, but they will be few. And they will not be in the villages that disappeared. The world will eat more food than ever before, produced by fewer people than ever before, controlled by systems most consumers will never see. And maybe, one day, children will learn in school that farming was once a job for millions. That people once spent their lives walking through fields, planting seeds by hand, reading the sky, feeling the soil. They may find that strange, primitive, inefficient. They will grow up in a world where food comes from machines guided by satellites. Where silence in the fields is normal. Where the idea of 50 workers planting side by side sounds like a story from another civilization. And they will be right. Because that civilization already ended. Not with fire, not with war, but with a machine that never gets tired.